When my son Ethan stood in front of a room full of relatives and said, "He's not my real dad, my stepdad earned that title," I felt something inside me collapse. The words came during what was supposed to be a simple birthday gathering: balloons, laughter, cake, and family photos. I was standing by the kitchen counter, smiling at how tall he'd gotten, how grown up he looked at 15. He was telling a funny story to his cousins when someone joked, "You sound just like your dad." And that's when Ethan, without hesitation, said those words. The room went quiet. My ex-wife, Sarah, froze. Her husband, Dan, looked away, clearly uncomfortable. And me? I just stood there, trying to process what I'd just heard. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Later that evening, when everyone had gone home, I sat alone in my car outside the house, gripping the steering wheel, feeling like the air had been punched out of me. I wasn't angry, just hollow. I'd been there from the moment he was born. Midnight feedings, scraped knees, soccer practices, school projects, I'd done it all. I wasn't perfect, but I was there. Divorce had split us, yes, but I'd fought for shared custody, never missed a birthday, never missed a game. And now, somehow, I'd become the shadow in his life story. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I sent Sarah a text. "Can Ethan come over this weekend?" "Just us two." She replied instantly, "Of course." When Ethan arrived, he looked nervous, shuffling his backpack by the door. "Hey, Dad," he said softly. I smiled, but it felt tight. "Hey, buddy. Hungry?" We made pancakes together, our old Saturday morning ritual, but the air between us felt fragile. After breakfast, I said, "Let's go for a drive." We drove in silence until I parked at the old park where I used to take him when he was little. The same swings, the same pond, just quieter now. We sat on a bench, watching ducks glide across the water. Finally, I asked, "Do you want to tell me what you meant yesterday?" He froze. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "I'm not angry," I said, even though my voice shook. "I just want to understand." He sighed, picking at his sleeve. "It's just, Dan's around all the time. He helps me with school stuff, takes me to practice when Mom can't. I see him more than I see you, and people ask, and it's easier to just say he's my dad. He does a lot for me." I nodded slowly. "Sounds like he's a good guy." Ethan looked up, surprised. "You're not mad?" "Mad? No. Do I wish it was different?" "Sure. But if someone treats you with kindness, I'm grateful for that. He's not replacing me, Ethan. He's helping raise you, and that takes heart." He stared at me for a long time. "But you looked hurt yesterday." I smiled sadly. "Because I am. Being your dad is the best thing I've ever done. Hearing you say I'm not your real dad, that stung. Not because I need the title, but because I love you, and I thought you knew that's never changed." His eyes welled up, and for a moment, he looked like the little boy who used to run into my arms after school. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean it like that. I just didn't want to make things weird for anyone." "I get it," I said. "You're caught between two families. That's not easy." He hesitated, then said, "You know what Dan told me once? He said I was lucky because I had two dads who cared about me. But I thought that would make you upset." My throat tightened. "He said that?" Ethan nodded. "Yeah. He always says you're the one who taught me how to be kind. He just helps with the stuff in between." I felt a tear escape before I could stop it. "Then he sounds like a good man." "He is," Ethan said quietly. "But you're my dad, Dad. Always will be." I shouldn't have said what I did. I put a hand on his shoulder. "Hey, words can hurt, but they can also heal. You just did that." He smiled weakly. We spent the rest of the afternoon walking the park, talking about college, his friends, his plans. It felt like a reset button had been pressed, like we were meeting each other halfway again. When I dropped him off that evening, Dan came out to say hello. "Hey man," he said awkwardly. "About yesterday, I'm really sorry. I didn't know he'd say that." I shook my head. "Don't be. You've been good to him. That's what matters." He nodded, visibly relieved. "For what it's worth," he said, "he talks about you all the time. He just doesn't always know how to say it. As I drove away, I realized something I hadn't before. Being a dad isn't about holding the exclusive title. It's about showing up, again and again, even when it hurts. It's about love that doesn't compete, just continues. A few weeks later, I came home to find a letter in my mailbox. It was from Ethan. Inside was a photo of us from his 10th birthday, me holding him on my shoulders, both of us laughing. On the back, he'd written, "You're my real dad. Not because you have to be, but because you always chose to be." I stood there for a long time, letter in hand, letting the weight of those words wash over me. Titles fade. Roles change. But love, real love, doesn't ask for recognition. It just stays, steady and silent, waiting for the moment it's finally seen again.